Hello, Glenda and I, Jaylene Rodriguez, did this program evaluation on Highland PBIS, our school's intervention system, which is PBI stands for Positive Behavioral Intervention System. The demographics of our school are on this slide. We currently have 2.5% of our population is American Indian Alaskan nationality. 0.2% is Asian. 8.2 is Black or African American. 78.6 is Hispanic or Latino. And 2.9% are two or more races. And 7.6% are white.
Our rationale for program evaluation, the PBIS system ensures student safety, positive social emotional behavior, and academic growth. Programs are evaluated basically because administrative decisions have to be made, and it is important to know or to show that our programs are good programs. That's from according to Royce. The data is intended to offer an equity-focused overview of students' outcome for all students and across key subgroups. The program evaluation is being conducted to measure the effectiveness of the PBIS system on student behavior. More specifically, how the implementation of PBIS impacts the behavior outcome of different student groups. The office referral data will be used to determine the impact of this program on all students. This program evaluation will allow us to perform a statistical analysis for our office referral data that can be used to improve equitable outcomes for students, specifically those in our African American subgroups.
The research questions that we came up for our program evaluation were, what are the effects of positive behavior interventions and supports on student behavior? And the second question is, how does the implementation of PBIS impact the behavior outcomes of different student groups as measured by student referrals?
The hypothesis that we come up, we have a null hypothesis and research hypothesis. Our null hypothesis is there is no significant difference in the behavior outcomes of different student groups, specifically African American students as measured by student referrals, thus they are not overrepresented. The research hypothesis, there is a significant difference in the behavior outcomes of different students groups, specifically African American students as measured by student referrals, thus they are overrepresented.
The curriculum that we use for the office referrals is the Highland Teach chart. On the chart, you can find staff managed behaviors that are defined on the list below it, where it's bolded. And then the office managed behaviors are on the right side of the document. And that is when the students are referred to the office. And then parents are also contacted for that. And the instrumentation that we use to submit these reports is called Infinite Campus Behavior Referral Instrumentation. On the right side of the slide, you can see that we have to enter the date of the incident, the time, the title, the context to describe the location of it. We also have to include details of the event that happened with the incident. And then at the bottom, there is a button to press to add event or participant. That is where we define the type of incident that occurred. If it was physical aggression, we would note that on there, and we would also input the type of aggressor or the type of people that were involved in the incident. So if it was a student, it finds the student name, and then also the staff member or other persons involved in the incident are recorded on here as well. That is then reported to our school principals and office secretary and is collected in the system and creates reports for our MTSS teams to then review and analyze.
This graph is a number of referrals, office referrals by month since August to March. And the blue color are the monthly referral of not African American students, and the orange color are the number of students who are referred in office referral per month. Also, we have the total of number of office referral at each month.
On this chart provided, this table, we have the students on the left column separated by African American and non-African American. The total number of African American students in our school is 47. Non-African American is 513 for a total of 560 students. When we calculate the percentage of the student population, we find that only 8% of our student population is made up by African Americans. And then the other 92% are the other races and nationalities at our school that were defined in the second slide. The mean for the African-American student office managed behaviors reported was 27.25. And then the mean for non-African-American is 39.1. So African-American students make up 41% of the mean, the total mean that we see, the 66.35. And the other students make up 59%. We find this comparison chart showed us that it's significantly a high percentage of the mean by African-American students, considering that they only make up 8% of our population.
We also collected the data of the descriptive of comparing the monthly attendance of African American and the monthly attendance of African American monthly referral. So the mean of the attendance of African American is 88%, and the mean of the referral of African Americans is 60%.
And here we can also notice that it is an overrepresentation because the attendance of African American students was 88%, and then there had 60% of the referrals, which is more than half of the attendance rate. On this chart, this is where we did our t-test, and we can see that again, this is where we found the result for the mean, which is the non-African American with 39.125, and then African American were 27.75. And the p-value of the one tails is 0.02, which is less than the value of the alpha level or level of significance 0.05. The value of the t-critical one tail is 1.89 and falls in the critical region of the curve. So we rejected the null hypothesis and accepted the research hypothesis, which confirms that there is an overrepresentation of African American students in the amount of office managed referrals reported throughout the school year from August to March. Therefore, we concluded that PBIS is not effective for all subgroups because of the disparity that was found between the amount of the office referrals reported by African American students versus non-African American students in Tier 1. Some of the office managed behaviors are subjective and can be perceived differently based on a variety of factors such as biases, values, personal experiences, and misconceptions of racial subgroups. Another external factor that would be another external factor would be the fidelity of the implementation of PBIS by all staff members. All staff members are trained and supported in the implementation of the program. However, we cannot say for sure that all staff members are implementing it with Tier 1 students with fidelity.
These findings were shared with the school stakeholders like administrators, social workers, staff members, and MTSS committees. And then we also interviewed 2 MTSS committee during this process.
From the presentation of the stakeholders, we were able to gather some more information to help us come up with these next 2 slides, the information in these next two slides, which are the limitation and consideration, and then recommendation and next steps. So for limitation and consideration, we found that access to interview all students involved in office managed behaviors would be one of the limitations. Acknowledgement by teachers of students' adverse childhood experiences, special needs, diverse cultural identities, or different linguistic or social cultural systems is something else to consider. A lack of uniformity across the entire faculty addressing the one procuring the referrals might be subject to personal bias. Misinterpretations or misconceptions of subject behaviors such as defiance or disrespect perception. Another limitation could be power struggles with students that might have social, emotional, or cognitive disorders, and also misunderstandings of the ABC, the antecedent behavior, consequences as form to intervene, and use a referral as a tool to educate and not to punish or harm.
The next step and recommendation or method: observe, reflect, interpret, and decide to determine effective action step based on the program evaluation and data collection provided by the district. Highland staff members complete the data reflection process and provide feedback. MTSS committee use the data reflection to create an action plan. Action plan may include professional development opportunities or PBIS training on office management referrals, possible professional development opportunities, subjective versus objective behaviors, effective practices needs, assessment to survey qualitative comparative analysis with data collection from May 21st and May 22nd. And lastly, the TFI, tiered fidelity inventory, can be used to provide a valid, reliable, and efficient measure of the extent to which personnel are applying the core features of PBIS.
Here are references, and we're hoping that with our program evaluation, we're helping our school provide a more equitable behavior system program for all subgroups to have equal opportunity in the interventions, and also to reduce the number of office managed behaviors by doing some more proactive practices and the other recommendations that were just mentioned. Thank you.